And welcome into Gator Bytes on the 1010XL.com podcast network. Also being simulcast on the Florida Gator 1010XL Facebook page. Today's Gator podcast is brought to you, as always, by Southeast Orthopedic Specialists. For the best quality care, you can rely on Southeast Orthopedic Specialists for any orthopedic injury or concern. They have offices all over Northeast Florida, including Jacksonville, in St. Augustine, Riverside, Northside, the South Side, among many other ones. And again, thank you, as always, to Southeast Orthopedic Specialists for bringing you Gator Bytes here on 1010XL.com. Denny Thompson is here. I'm the hacker, Ryan Green. I felt like, or it feels like I haven't seen you in quite some time.
It has been a while, man. We've been grinding.
Yeah.
I got, no voice left, so I apologize.
I've been there.
Yeah.
But yeah, between your travels, my travels, a lot going on.
Vegas, right?
I did go to Vegas. It was festive. It was fun.
Are you a gambler?
It's the first time I've ever sat down at a blackjack table and played. The dealer had to literally tell me, like, what hand signals to make.
Really?
Yeah. But then I ended up being plus 80 for the trip.
Okay.
So I felt pretty good about that.
I'll buy you lunch in Vegas.
Yeah, it wasn't bad. It was fun. It was a good time. And then my son had a birthday, went to Orlando. And yeah, I know you're a big Disney guy.
Oh.
Your kid was the same way, right?
They still are. They still are.
Yeah,
absolutely. My oldest goes to Orlando twice a week.
And he had like a website where he wrote about Disney stuff.
Yeah. Podcast, the whole thing.
Disney stuff is nuts.
I just can't stand the place.
I know your thoughts.
It's Orlando.
On Disney.
It's not as much Disney. It's Orlando.
I'll tell you this though, I-4 is actually not as bad as it used to be. They've actually finished some of the stuff.
It's still bad. I drove through there to go to Naples every week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, you're still down there with Gardner?
Not right now, but yeah. I was for a while.
Yeah, of course, Denny trains quarterbacks, 6 points, quarterback training locally, regionally, nationally. He's got high school, college, and NFL quarterbacks that he works with. Let's start right there. One of your guys is Anthony Richardson. 2023 mock drafts are out, Denny. I love the mock draft a year in advance. And it was Todd McShay? I think it was McShay that had Anthony Richardson as number 6 overall in the class of 2023. Your reaction when you see your guy you've trained for years, Anthony Richardson, having this much acclaim coming into the year?
Yeah, I mean, it's cool. It's weird because a top 10 pick when you see it. Like when you see everything from the way they walk in to the way they train to the way they throw. And so it's been something that's let me say to him, all right, listen, these next 6 months can set your family up forever. Right. And your first 2 games, by the way, Utah on national TV, and then head to head with the guy that a lot of people think may be the number 1 pick, Will Levis.
Yeah, Kentucky.
And so it's like those first 2 weeks, you could really set yourself up to be in the conversation for the number 1 overall pick. But at the same time, and he's always been a worker, so that I'm looking at it more from a focus standpoint. Right. But at the same time, he's got a season to play and he's got an offense to learn, and he's still at the University of Florida. And so you've got to be careful with when you're talking to these guys. Like, it's so important to just stay present because so much is thrown at these guys that if you start looking down the road, you're never going to be happy because it's now, okay, I want to be the first pick. And then I want to be the starter. Then I want to get second contract, Pro Bowls, Hall of Fame. Like, it's a never ending loop that starts at middle school.
One thing that caught me off guard, honestly, is I looked at Anthony Richardson's career college numbers when that McShay mock for 2023 came out. The guy's thrown like 70 passes in college football. Mm-hmm. He just hasn't played a whole lot. You don't realize the lack of playing opportunities that Anthony Richardson has had coming into this year. We want to make him out to be this great quarterback, one of the best in the country, and maybe he will be, but he just simply has not played very much.
Yeah, he will be. He will be. I don't know. Whether it's this coming year or the year after, he's going to be a first-round pick. Like, that's going to happen. He has first-round pick talent. And what I was saying is a top 10 pick when you see it. Like, when he walks through the door, okay, that's different, right? Like, that's a whole different dude. And his grind is different. Everything's different. I think, the speeding ticket stuff actually kind of helped him a little bit just to kind of refocus. He's extremely focused, working really hard. I love the staff down there. They're nothing but supportive in what we do. And helpful in what we do. So it's been a great relationship, much different than what it was last year.
So Anthony Richardson, certainly the guy getting all the preseason acclaim. You mentioned Will Levis. Boy, it might be the year of the quarterbacks. With Levis at Kentucky, Stroud at Ohio State, Bryce Young at Alabama, DJ at Clemson. You got a lot of really high-profile quarterbacks that appear to go very, very high in the draft.
Spencer Rattler.
Spencer Rattler's another one.
If you wanted to. Yeah, I mean, I was looking at a list earlier today that didn't have Anthony Ewert on it, and they were doing the top 20. But there's like the Cameron Ward kid at Washington State is unbelievable. Slovis at Pitt. Like there's a lot of really good guys that you're going to see. You could see 10 different guys get into the first round of some mock drafts. Some 10 guys aren't going to be picked, but they're that strong. They're that good.
And you know, when you talk about Florida, you talk about the schedule they have coming. We were talking before we came on here with Gator Bytes. Boy, Kentucky or Utah, Kentucky, South Florida, Tennessee. I saw a way too early ESPN.com top 25 that came out yesterday. I think Mark Schlabach did it for ESPN. Utah was number 6. Kentucky was 22. Tennessee was 24. Florida was not on there. So you want to talk about a gauntlet for Billy Napier in his opening 4 games as coach of Florida. It appears 3 of those teams may be ranked when they play them in September and early October.
I'm not disagreeing with you, but isn't it weird that we're talking about a gauntlet with 2 teams in the bottom half of the top 25?
Yeah, I mean, when you consider Florida, those not in the top 25.
But I'm saying, like, at the University of Florida, the number 22 team in the country, we should not look at and go, uh-oh. You know what I mean? Like that, I just call it brand recognition. The logo means something, whatever, but I just can't wrap my head. Yes, it's a tough stretch, but I cannot wrap my head around the fact that Florida is not going to be the favorite in all of those.
Well, you and I have a differing of opinion. I don't think, and I know you do, but I don't think Gator fans in general realize how good Utah is. Utah is in the top 10 of all of these preseason top 25s.
How good. No, I don't realize how good Utah is.
I mean, they're the defending Pac-12 champion. I think they return like 17 of their 22 starters. Right.
I still don't think they're that good.
No.
Like, I shouldn't say it. I don't know anything about them. Like, I know nothing. I don't know these starters they're returning. I mean, they're not Georgia starters.
I guess my point is they were good enough to win a Power 5 conference, while Florida went 2-6 in a Power 5 conference.
Yeah. Okay. We're going to compare those 2 conferences?
No, I'm not. No, I'm not saying compare them, but I see Florida as a favorite in that game.
How many
and
Pac-12 players got drafted in the first round?
No, Devin Lloyd's here, right? In Jacksonville.
Is there any more?
I'd have to go look. Yeah, no. The Drake London, right? USC.
Okay,
it's another one.
How many SEC?
There's a lot of SEC.
Didn't Georgia have 5 alone?
Yeah, Thibodeau at Oregon. Yeah, was the first round.
I guess my point is like it's not. You shouldn't be intimidated if you're a Florida fan. You shouldn't be.
No, but it's always
first game, and you and I have been consistent on that. We both like the cupcakes. We both like start. But I will say the way college football opening weekend is this year, I'm glad they're playing it because if not, they would whatever they did would have gotten drowned out. And part of that is because I want Ant to have that stage, right? But opening weekend this year in college football is unbelievable.
Yeah,
I mean you got FSU, LSU. Right, you've got Georgia, Oregon, Clemson, Georgia Tech. Like, I mean, there's just some really good games that opening weekend.
It's Ohio State, Notre Dame, right?
Is that opening?
I think it is. Yeah,
wow. Yeah. No, that's going to be crazy.
Yeah, it's going to be a terrific opening weekend. Florida's a part of that. We don't know the time yet for that Utah game. I hope it's high noon. Hope it's 1,000 degrees.
I don't,
because that will help Florida. I think
because I'm probably going to go, and I don't know. I hope it's like 11 at night.
Well, I think you're looking probably more at a 7 o'clock ESPN.
Well, they announced 3:30 for the Georgia game.
Yeah, and 7:30 for Florida State on Black Friday, which I still hate. I'm still not over.
It's growing on me.
Ugh, it's not.
It's growing on me a little bit.
Awful. Although that is an interesting sports day because you'll have the United States and England in the World Cup that morning, and then you'll have Florida State in the evening, which will make it a pretty good 12-hour sports cycle. He is Denny Thompson. I'm the hacker Ryan Green. Gator Bytes, 1010XL.com, and the Florida Gator 1010XL Facebook page. As always, we are brought to you by Southeast Orthopedic Specialists. For the great quality care, you can rely on them by going to se-ortho.com. That is their website. And you can listen for Southeast Orthopedic Specialists, the good Dr. Kevin Murphy, on Thursday mornings in the 7 o'clock hour with Jeff and Dan right here on 1010XL for his weekly analysis of injuries in the world of sports. 3 Gator commitments in the last 10 days. You had Najee Harris, right, from IMG, Bryce Lovett from Rockledge, and a guy you know very well, Creed Whittemore from Gainesville-Buchholz. I had the opportunity to speak with Lovett and Whittemore on Hacker After Dark. Really impressed by both guys, including Whittemore, the younger brother of Trent Whittemore. I think Florida might have a star in the making with him.
Yeah, he's such a good athlete, man. He plays quarterback at high school, and so he's trained with us. Excuse me, I'm sorry. And it's funny because his dad's the head coach at Gainesville.
They were really good last year.
Really good. In fact, one of the best games I've seen was him versus Marcus Stokes in the playoffs.
Yeah, the
Marcus Stokes
game.
at Nice.
Yep.
But, it's one of those things where it's like the dad and I used to have conversations of, okay, can the kid play quarterback in college? He absolutely could at like FAU or Troy or something like that. But then teams started just falling in love with how fast and quick and twitchy this kid is. And he started getting to Clemson and Florida. And it's a good get. He's a guy that when his career's done, you're going to feel like he's been there for 10 years, like that kind of guy, because he's going to be all over the field. They're going to use him in so many different capacities. So I think you need that Swiss knife guy, and they got him.
Is there a compare and contrast to he and his brother?
I don't think so. I think the brother's bigger, and I think Creed's probably a little shiftier. Maybe both really good players.
Yeah, I like Trent Whittemore. He's turned into a nice player.
Yeah, both good players. But I think there's a pretty big difference in the two.
Bryce Lovett told me something. He's the offensive lineman out of Rockledge. He chose Florida over many schools, including Missouri, Louisville. I think Iowa State was one of the hats on the table. Dan Mullen and the previous staff really weren't recruiting him very well or very much. Billy Napier comes in. They make him a priority. He commits to Florida. Basically the same thing Jack Pyburn of the Bowl School here locally told me in February. Wasn't really being recruited by Dan Mullen. Billy Napier comes in. Jack Pyburn's a Gator. Just interesting that these guys that now are Florida Gator commitments weren't really being recruited by the previous staff.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much everywhere. Staff turns over. They like this kid a little better. Maybe he fits the system. They want to run a little better than what this old system did. So I don't think that's a knock on Mullen. I think it's credit to Napier for knowing what he's looking for and going out and getting it. I've enjoyed the staff there. I've been there quite a bit in the last month. Football-only facilities looking much better than I thought it would.
Oh.
Like the way that it flows with everything now, it's fantastic because Florida used to just have this big indoor that is just dropped in the middle of like the campus. It was like, oh, that's kind of weird. Now it flows into this massive football facility. So everything's coming around there. There's really good energy there. The coaches are, I wouldn't say approachable, but they are approachable. They're turning over every stone when it comes to recruiting.
Mm-hmm.
They're getting relationships with every high school coach and with, every quarterback trainer or whatever it is. Like they're doing what they need to do. Even if that school doesn't have a kid now, they probably will in the future. And so they're making it a purpose not to be a fly-by-night, hey, we're only here when we need something type of staff, which is nice.
And two things. Number one, they went back to IMG and got another young man, and Harris, the offensive lineman. That's 2 guys from IMG Academy in the last 5 months. And number two, not only are they getting guys on campus for visits, they're starting to get some verbal commitments. That was the concern. You're getting a lot of guys in for visits. No commitments are happening. Well, all of a sudden, bam, 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 Harris, Lovett, and Whittemore, now some of those visits are turning into commitments.
Well, I think if you look at the way the pattern this goes with some of the best recruiting schools there are, I think Alabama only has 3 right now. And they were the same way last year, and they were the same way the year before that. A lot of these schools stock up over the summer and the beginning of the fall. And I mentioned it when I was down a few weeks ago. I was like, are y'all going to have them start rolling in? Like, what's the deal? You got 2? And they're like, yeah, we're not worried about it at all. Like, they have a plan. They're working the plan. You start camp season now, in 2 weeks?
Mm-hmm.
So you'll have a ton of high school guys on your campus nonstop, literally every day for the summer. So they'll roll in. They'll be fine. I bet they'll come out of summer with 12 to 15.
The big news in the last 24 to 48 hours in Gator Nation is the retirement of Mick Hubert after 33 years in the Gator broadcast booth. I'm 38 years old. By the time I figured out what sports really was, I was spoiled. It was probably 1990. I was 6 years old, Steve Spurrier's first year. I remember very little pre-1990. Translation, I don't remember a world where Mick Hubert wasn't the radio play-by-play guy for the Florida Gators. He's been there since 1989 and working in sports radio now, getting a chance to meet Mick Hubert, getting a chance to have him on, shows many, many times over the years was just awesome. And the fact that he retires within basically 5 weeks of when Gene Deckerhoff retired over in Tallahassee with Florida State, I guess kind of fitting that college-wise they're going out together. Deckerhoff's doing one more year with the Buccaneers in the NFL. But really surprising news. Sad news. I'm happy for Mick. I'm sure he's going to enjoy retirement. But Saturdays in Gainesville will not be the same without Mick Hubert in the radio booth.
Okay.
You're just not a big radio guy like that?
No, well, I don't have anything to add to this conversation. I know who he is, and I know people love him, but, I don't know what you want me to tell you. I don't know that I've ever listened to a whole game on the radio.
You're kidding.
No.
I'm stunned by that.
No.
Yeah, because when I was little, my dad would take me to the swamp, and this was back in the day where you had the headphones on, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you're in the stadium watching the game with the radio headphones on. So he'd be listening to the play-by-play with Mick Hubert.
I've never done that in my life.
Well, no, I don't think many people do anymore.
Okay.
This is 30 years ago.
Well, I never did it 30 years ago.
Oh, well, you were pretty young 30 years ago. I'm not sure if a
15.
A 15-year-old would go in the radio headphones on.
But I don't want to cut you off. The 2022
you already
way
did, so go ahead.
The 2022 way to listen to Mick Hubert is you go to the game as a college kid and you see the big play, right? Like the Tyree Cleveland Hail Mary, whatever. And then everyone is like, "Oh, I got to hear the Mick call."
Yeah.
Really?
You go back at
yeah.
That's like a thing.
Yeah,
Really?
you're definitely in the minority.
I'm sure I am.
And it's interesting you bring it because you're how old? Mid or early 40s?
40, about to be 46.
Oh, mid 40s. All right, good for you. All right, so mid 40s.
Good for you.
Yeah. So
thanks for throwing that out there, Hack.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
But so I think you are in the minority because I took a quick straw poll last night. See, Graham's a little different. The chief, the guy over here, is a little different. He's younger, but he appreciates, radio play-by-play. Guys that are in their 40s and 50s, upper 30s like me, I think appreciate Deckerhoff and Hubert and what we had with Larry Munson at Georgia for all those years, more so than the younger generation does.
Don't get me wrong. I understand that these guys are like, Mount Rushmore quality college. I'm just saying I don't like to have conversations I can't add much to. And I can't add much to this because I didn't really listen like that.
Well, he called 419 football games, over 1,000 men's basketball games, over 1,000 baseball games. Read the story. It was over 2,500 games in his broadcasting career.
It's a dope life.
And look, you had Deckerhoff in Tallahassee, you had Mick in Gainesville. And we would always go back and forth. Who was better? Who was the bigger homer? That was part of it. And the fact that both guys were at both schools for decades on end, and they both retire within 5 weeks of one another. Pretty nuts. It'll be hard to fill the shoes of Mick Hubert. No question about that. We got to get in to Jimbo against Saban. Before we do that, Southeast Orthopedic Specialists, they bring it to you for the highest quality care. You can rely on Southeast Orthopedic Specialists for any orthopedic injury or concern. You can log on to their website, again, se-ortho.com, and they have offices all over Northeast Florida, including Riverside, Northside, the South Side, St. John's, you name it. Southeast Orthopedic Specialist, we thank them for their continued support here of the Gator Bytes podcast. You are deeply involved in recruiting.
Mm-hmm.
You obviously understand some nuances of name, image, and likeness that maybe the casual fan does not. Your reaction, Jimbo versus Saban, and what transpired earlier this week.
Saban doesn't do anything on accident. There's a plan to everything Saban does. And I don't know what the plan is. I don't know if the plan is to attack Jimbo and Dion and those guys for name, image, likeness, or if the plan is to go, hey, Alabama fans, we need you to put together a couple collectives here and throw 20 mil in it. And the narrative is, well, they don't have the big companies in Alabama that they do in Texas. And And we also talking about on the drill with, I mean, if somebody really wanted to get nasty with this, Arkansas would take over.
Yeah.
They would absolutely take over because
with Walmart and Tyson Chicken and
JB Hunt, like the whole nine right there in their backyard. So I don't know what the intent of the content was. I'm pretty sure it wasn't just to rile Jimbo up. But it's interesting. It's definitely interesting. The dynamic of college football has definitely changed. I don't believe that there should be a cap on what these kids make. I don't believe that at all. You get what you're worth. And is it a good investment? Probably not. But it's the pay for play. Like that's what it is. We talk about, NFL free agency, and most times guys go to whoever pays them the most, right? Regardless of what system they run, whatever. If they're a big time free agent, they go with the big contract, right? I mean, Christian Kirk, you think he set out to go to Jacksonville? No, Jacksonville overpaid for him. And so he's here. So I think it's just a continuation of that. And I get it's amateur sports, air quote, amateur sports. But the players have the power now, and coaches don't like it.
Do you think that Nick Saban anticipated the reaction from Jimbo Fisher?
Absolutely.
Jimbo Fisher called him a narcissist.
Absolutely.
Said that he walked on water, called him the czar, said it's easy to be God when you have all the advantages. I mean, Jimbo scorched the earth on Nick Saban.
Yeah, but, I mean, what's funny is, like, did Jimbo not just describe Jimbo? I mean,
No.
let's be real. I mean, this guy was a coach in waiting, trying to get a legend out every chance he could at FSU. The minute he got the job at FSU, he literally toyed around with another job every freaking year, even after winning a natty. So, I mean, what is he talking about? He jumped at Texas A&M when they threw him some crazy contract. I don't understand what Jimbo's talking about. All of these guys are talking out. Never mind, I can't say that on radio.
Interesting.
All of these guys are like, okay,
please elaborate on that.
No, here's the deal. So it's okay for you to go hire somebody else's staff, and I'm not even pointing this at Jimbo. I'm spraying bullets here. This is all across college football. It's okay for you to go hire a coach and pay him $750,000 2 days after signing day when you know you're taking him away from the recruiting class that he just took and bringing him to your school, but it's all about the kids? It's not all about the kids for any of these guys. It's crazy. It's like we're father figures. No, you're not father figures. Not at all. You don't live in the same neighborhood. You have time restriction on when you can see them. You cannot give them money or even a ride somewhere. Like, you would be the worst father ever if that was your father figure.
Yeah.
And on top of that, if you're a father figure, like, can you imagine telling your kid, listen, I'm going to go procreate and try to make a better kid? Like, they do that every freaking year. You got your roster. You've promised them everything. Okay, we got you here. Now we're going to go promise a whole nother 25 people the exact same thing. And we're going to go try to find your replacement, even though we just told you you're the best thing ever.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to hear it from these college coaches. I have zero interest in it. Are there issues with NIL? Yes. But the last thing I want to do is hear two grown men who are making all this money and have had all this success talk about who's entitled. Y'all are entitled. Literally, the two of you are entitled. You get whatever you want. It's unbelievable to me.
Well, the bottom line is, not that I'm disagreeing with
I
you.
needed to get that off my chest. Sorry.
October 8th is going to be unbelievable. When A&M goes to Alabama.
Happen. Alabama is going to wax them.
Yeah.
Wax them.
I'm not even talking about the game. I'm talking about the pregame, the handshake at midfield. I mean, Jimbo flat out said, we're done. Because Saban apparently tried to reach out to him to apologize. He did not take the call. I can't remember.
Don't shake hands. Go old school. Just beat the piss out of each other and let's keep it moving.
Well, all right. I mean, I was trying to think of great coaching rivalries that got that personal. Schembechler and Woody Hayes was a great rivalry, but there was a respect there. You had like John Chaney and John Calipari, but that was a one-time deal. There was, I mean, Jimbo Fisher set out yesterday not only to make headlines, but to scorch the earth on Nick Saban.
It's the second time he's done it.
And I think he accomplished that.
He did the same thing right after signing day. He did the exact same thing right after signing day. Like, he's so sensitive about this that in my eyes it makes him guilty.
Well, he said enough to make Saban feel compelled to go on ESPN radio yesterday afternoon.
Sure. Sure,
to respond.
Ride it out, Nick.
So it's good stuff.
Reality
TV at its finest.
One guy is the greatest coach in the history of college football. The other guy has been underperforming at a school for the past 5 years or 4 years, whatever it's been. You tell me.
I cannot believe I'm defending Jimbo Fisher. You know what his win-loss record is?
The same as Kevin Sumlin's was when he was.
No, I'm just talking about in general.
I'm talking about Texas A&M, where he's talking about it's the exact same as Kevin Sumlin's was.
He's 117-37 in his coaching career.
Good for him.
With a national championship.
What is Nick Saban?
Much better than that.
With how many natties?
But I'm not comparing Jimbo to Nick Saban. I'm saying Jimbo, if you were to talk about the top, 20, 25 college coaches of all time.
Listen, Jimbo made this hella personal by all the stuff he said. Hella personal. So when you make it personal, I'm going to compare person A and person B. And person A in this is Nick Saban.
Yeah.
Like, it's not even close. Nick Saban is the alpha. You like, win something. Win something at Texas A&M.
You need to have a conversation with Matt Hayes because he is on the exact opposite side of this argument.
I'll gladly have it.
That would be terrific.
I'll gladly have it.
I'd like to set that up.
Listen, that's a results business, period. That's my business, their business. We're in a results business. No excuses. Either you get results or you don't. And one gets results. One has gotten results over and over and over and over again, has changed the landscape of college football. Facilities, coaches' pay, staff, all of it. The other has underperformed.
Yeah.
Like, I don't understand how there's any other way you look at this. Now, if you want to make it about NIL, nobody knows what the hell's going on with NIL. Nobody knows. Everybody's got their own way that they do it. Everybody thinks they're doing it the best way. You've got Dabo and you've got Nick Saban who are looking at this and going, oh, crap. Like, we better get on top of it because we're losing the advantages. Everybody's been paying players, just not this much, for a long, long time. Now we're finding out where the bodies are buried. Like, it's comical.
And by the way, everybody's doing it. Florida did not get into IMG for a decade. They've gotten 2 guys out of IMG in the last 5 months. That's not a coincidence.
Florida started a collective group that got $6 million in 24 hours.
Yeah.
Everybody's... Miami's got their money back.
And it's legal. You're not breaking any rules.
Perfectly legal. Florida State's got Rising Spear, and James Coleman just started one, I think called Micanopy or something like that, that's doing really, really well. It's just what it is. It's the business of college football. Now, I'm having to learn that business. Like, we have had to change the way that we, what's the right word? The way that we collect money on college guys has always been very, very tough. It's probably 70% of our workload, 10% of our revenue. And so this has opened up different ways that now we can find that we can get paid for the work that we do.
It is a different world in college football than it was just as recently as a couple of years ago. He is Denny Thompson. I'm the hacker Ryan Green. This is Gator Bytes on 1010XL.com and the Florida Gator 1010XL Facebook page. I promise you, it will not be a month till we do another one of these. We'll get together next week, more on the Gators, and who knows, maybe Billy Napier will have secured a few more commitments by then. Denny, we'll do it again soon.
Let's do it.